The reason your dating life sucks is probably very simple, and the solution is very simple, but the mistake that most guys are making is that you focus on the wrong problem. And it may actually be a problem that you have. You know, maybe you lack confidence. Maybe you get really nervous when it's time to go for the kiss. Maybe you have trouble not being needy and too affectionate once you start really liking a girl and you're seeing her consistently. There's definitely a lot of problems that you probably have with dating. Otherwise, you would be perfect and you would have the dating life that you want, and you wouldn't be watching videos like these because you would be good. But the reason why your dating life sucks is probably a couple very, very simple and specific reasons, but you're probably not focusing on them. And that's the point of this video, is to find out your biggest problem, the number one, number two, maybe number three problem that is holding you back the most. And if you address that problem and you fix that, you're going to see way more improvements than if you were to focus on a different problem that you also probably have. So what I'm going to do is go very simply through the entire dating process. And when you find the thing that is very obviously your most prominent problem, I want you to stop and pay most attention to that. Because like I said, you're going to have a lot of different problems. Just focus on the one that you're like, okay, this is where I consistently lose the girl. Because we're going to see dating as a process, as a skill, not just something that happens and, oh, she wasn't meant for me, everything happens for a reason. No, it's a skill set. And if at some point, once you meet her, then you talk to her, you ask her out, you get her phone number, you start texting her, you try to set up a date, you go on the date, this, up until, like, you know, you guys are seriously in love and have been dating each other for years and years and years, and the relationship is really stable. At some point, you fuck it up. And the only reason it doesn't reach this point is either because of deep down incompatibility or you fucked up. That's really the only two reasons why something doesn't work out, or she screwed up, right? So it was either user error or just incompatibility. Most of the time, a lot of times, user error is the number one problem, but a lot of people think, oh, it's incompatibility, right? It's a way that, it's a very devious way that our mind puts away responsibility, right? It's so much easier to just say, oh, it wasn't meant to be, you know, it happens for a reason, as if there's some grand plan for you that always gonna end up being for the best. I mean, in a lot of cases, most of you are not going to have the best of lives, okay? Right? So I don't want you to think that there is some grand universal scheme that's always looking in your favor. That's really not how it works, right? A lot of times you have to create those good circumstances, okay? So where is it that you fuck up? Very simple. So let's get started. First, are you actually having girls to talk to? Right? Sounds like the simplest place to start, but it's probably the number one problem for all of you watching this. Do you actually even have girls to fuck up with? And if the answer is no, well then that's your number one consistent problem, is you don't have any girls to talk to. Okay, so how do you solve that? Well, you could do online dating. I think it's very inefficient, and I think that you're not going to get the highest quality girl that you can because it is by nature a superficial platform. You could go out to bars and clubs, but that has its own issues. Usually the girls that you meet there aren't always going to be the best of quality, maybe physically, but not personality wise. They may not be very long-term viable. I know I'm speaking about girls as if they're some sort of, you know, car payment plan or something, right? But like I said, we're trying to see dating from an objective point of view rather than getting lost in the feelings of subjective points of view. You could try in your friend groups, right? But if you don't really have an abundance of girls that you find attractive and also who are compatible with you in your friend groups, it's going to be very slim pickings, because girls in your friend groups, there's a lot of issues with that. Just really not worth going into, because I usually digress a lot. So let's just say it's not the best thing. And you probably don't have a friend group with a lot of really hot girls, okay? Because you're eventually going to screw up with one of them. And then what? School. Well, if you're not in school, then, you know, work. Well, that has its own issues that you could probably think of in a couple seconds. What I think is the absolute best way for you to meet girls, you don't have to do it, right? And most people don't, because it is difficult, is to go out and meet girls during the day. And I think it has the most abundance. I mean, I'm sure in your life you have passed by girls who are your ideal physical type. You don't know if they're your ideal personality type, but you have to actually get to know her to make that judgment. And from my experience of teaching lots of guys, and also my great pool of experience in my own personal dating life, the best girls you're going to meet you're going to meet during the day because you can choose them. You just walk past a beautiful girl and you go and talk to her. You're not in a loud bar or club with a bunch of drunk, competitive, aggressive men or girls who have their guard up and they're going to be a little bit dramatic with the way that they treat you because of, you know, reputation and acting cool and blah, blah, blah. You know, you don't have to worry about reputation and if, you know, there's any rumors about you, or maybe you're not the coolest guy in the group, or she really hasn't known you a long time, so she's very wary of you, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, I'm going to get to know you. And if you like me and you're attracted to me, you're going to stay and talk to me. And if you don't, you're going to move on because I'm a stranger, right? So it has very immediate results, either negative or positive, but at least they're immediate. And so it's very efficient. And so, and also you have your pick. Who do you like? Go and talk to her. And I think it's also a very good demonstration of a man's level of confidence for him to go out and just approach a girl during the day and give her a compliment and try to get to know her. Most women, even if they've rejected me, they've still been very happy with the fact that I did that. You know, they say, wow, you know, sorry I have a boyfriend. I'm not interested, but you know what? That was really cool of you to do this. Most of the time, even when I got rejected, girls were appreciative. Sure, there were those like, who is this crazy guy talking to me during the day reactions, but they're not as frequent as you'd think. Most of the time, the rejection you're going to get is a girl either ignoring you or saying, oh, sorry, I have to go, or sorry, I have a boyfriend. Whether or not she has one, I don't know. Now, if you want to learn how to do that really, really well, because it's kind of outside the scope of this video, you should check out my course called Meet Girls Everywhere. It's in the description below. I won't spend a lot of time marketing it and talking about how amazing it is. It's just going to teach you how to talk to girls and teach you every step of the process, from seeing a girl, how to think about talking to girls during the day to kind of get rid of your misconceptions about it. Like, oh, is this weird? Is this creepy? Go and talk to her, have a nice conversation. You get her phone number. You're going to talk to her for like 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes maximum. Okay. And then also you can learn how to text her, because texting is a very important part of our dating life right now, whether you like it or not. So I have a texting book as well. It's in the description below. It's called What She Really Means, the basics and not so basics of texting girls. So if you want to fix that, go check that out in the description below. Now, if you actually have a lot of girls, so let's move on to the second thing, in your life, or enough that you're happy, right? Like, okay, I'm meeting enough girls on a consistent basis by whatever means is, you know, that you're doing it. You know, you're going out to clubs and bars, you're doing online dating, you're possibly doing day game, or you have a social circle where you can meet a lot of girls, or maybe at work, maybe at school, whatever. If they are not being attracted to you, so let's just take day game as an example. You're going out and approaching girls during the day. So you're giving it your best shot. Great. You're winning on some level. Okay. You're actually trying, but they're not really, it's called hooking, right? They're not really like locking in. Okay. You talk to them, but you're getting rejected right off the bat a lot. Maybe you get a few nice little conversations, but it's like extreme rejection levels. If that's the issue, then you have a problem with what we call your fundamentals. Now, a lot of guys think it's, oh, because I wasn't born good looking, tall, or I'm not really ripped, or I'm not rich, or something like that, right? Well, being tall and good looking can really help, right? I'm not going to lie. I mean, it definitely can help you get attraction. But I've seen tons of guys with those things get rejected because it gets your foot in the door, but it doesn't guarantee you get laid. In very, very few circumstances is it just like a girl sees you, you're really hot. She's just like, okay, you can have me. No matter what dumb shit comes out your mouth, I'm going to go with you. A lot of times guys who have like the ideal physical type, I've seen them get the attraction from the girl, but then lose it somewhere along in this process that I'm going to be going over, because they had some problem with their fucking game. They just weren't smooth. They weren't charismatic. They didn't know how to push things forward. And the only times where they like, you know, stumbled through it, even though they were idiotic, was because the girl really liked them that much. But that was a very, very rare circumstance. And I'm talking about guys who are like your 10 out of 10s. I know because I know them. And they would get literally propositioned and still would fuck it up. You're thinking to yourself, my God, that's impossible. No, it's very possible. If they told you the story, I mean, they would tell you they were fucking an idiot, and you'll be like, wow, you were an idiot. How did you drop that? But they did. And I guarantee in your life, once you start getting success, you're going to have girls give you the most easy layup in the world, and you're still going to fuck it up, because we're human and we're prone to error, and dating is a skill. You got to get good at it. So fundamentals. If you're not born tall with perfect genetics, what can you do to fix it? Well, you can get in good shape, but that's a very long-term thing, so it's not going to give you immediate results, but you should start working on that. You can change your fashion. That's pretty immediate results. That's probably the greatest immediate result, besides like taking a shower, you know, and like grooming yourself, getting a normal haircut. I would recommend for most men something like a high fade or an undercut, kind of what I have. I think that's universally the best way that you could look attractive. If you're balding or if you have any problem with that, my best advice is to just go buzz cut or just straight up bald. It looks better than any sort of wizardry you're trying to like make it not look like you're balding. Just fucking go for it. Okay, I have a client, once I convinced him to just go buzz cut, he looks a lot better, so I highly recommend it. But if you have normal hair and you're not dealing with that, you know, like a high fade and undercut, you can do like this any length you want. Maybe you can go for the G Easy kind of undercut where you swipe it back, or something a little bit like mine where you let it spike up a little bit. Whatever. Like I said, take a fucking shower. Groom yourself. If you can make a cool beard, you can. I can't, so I just pretty much shave it. Cool clothes though. Fashion. You really should get into fashion. The best thing that you can do fashion wise is, you know, dress like a G. Okay, like you don't really have to go for the suit coat or blazer, just button down shirt, nice belt, nice wool, cashmere, cotton pants, whatever, nice leather shoes, double monks, brown double monks, brown brogue boots. I really should do a fashion video. I'm just giving you the names. You might not even know what the fuck I'm talking about, but just Google what I'm saying. Black Oxford shoes, basically pointy leather shoes. And then, like I said, a nice leather belt that matches the shoes, kind of a wide range of shirts. You know, your black, your red, maybe a pink, maybe a purple, white, obviously black, or did I say black already? And then pants, you know, you can't go wrong with gray, charcoal, black, and navy blue, right? And you can make a whole crap load of different combinations with just that. If you're willing to invest a little bit more money, you can look really, really good. And I promise you, it will have dramatic effects on how women receive you. Because the wrapping does invite women to open up the present. Even if the present inside is great, even if you actually don't have a problem with this part of the process, like once you get a girl interested, you're really good because you're cool, you're funny, you're charismatic, you're good at conversation, whatever. If you're just not getting your foot in the door and you don't have the genetics to do it, you have to make up for it. It really has such a huge impact. And if you feel like that's shallow or, you know, it shouldn't be that way, well, tough fucking luck, dude. Okay, so fix your fucking fashion. And then that's what we call passive fundamentals, the things that you do before you get out the door. Then you have what's called the active fundamentals. That's the way that you know, your vocal tonality, like, are you really good with your voice? You know, the way that a lot of actors or comedians or people who are on, you know, in front of the camera a lot, they're very good with intonating their words and making stories interesting, right? You can practice that. That's a skill. You can start by just recording your voice. Be like, does this sound interesting? Do I sound boring? Do I have a monotone voice? Do I know how to like tell a story in an interesting way? Am I too high pitch, too low pitch? Think of it, your voice as an instrument, and start working on it. I have some videos on it. So if you just Google voice, or not Google, type voice into like the search bar in my videos, you can find a bunch. Your eye contact, you know how to hold eye contact, how much to hold, you know, that's something that you start practicing once you start talking to girls. Your facial expressions, do you know how to express yourself? Or are you just always like wooden, or you just always look scared? You know, do you know how to use your hands? Talk with your hands. It makes it interesting. That's what I call active fundamentals, your body language, the way you walk, etc. So start working on that. And what's going to happen is once your passive fundamentals and active fundamentals are solid, when you go to talk to a girl, she's immediately going to be attracted to you. Then that's going to get your foot in the door and actually give you the ability to talk to her and show off the rest of your personality. And the way that you express yourself has a lot to do with your personality, because the way something is expressed is just as important as the ideas that are being expressed. So if you're really smart or interesting, if you don't know how to express your intelligence or interestingness in an interesting way, it's not really going to land. Okay, so once you get that figured out, you'll start getting a lot of attraction. But if you're already getting a lot of attraction, that means that your fundamentals are pretty good, or you have good genetics. That means you have good karma. And so you were born with these things, and good for you. I'm happy for you. So you're getting attraction from women. Now, are you losing her after the initial conversation? Well, that means that you're fucking boring, or you're really, really nervous, or you're way too arrogant. You're coming off like too much of a player. This is a problem if guys are actually decent with girls. They kind of hit this, like, they start to do really good with girls, and then they hit this really big plateau. It's called the player paradox, but it's not really worth getting into. Or my cat is about to jump in front of the camera. Nana, don't do it. She was gearing up to just come and get attention. So yeah, you're either really nervous, you're fucking boring, you're really stupid, and not like in a cute, adorable, like hot dumb jock that I still want to suck him off kind of way, which that is a game that you can run, but it's very rare. You have to have kind of like that really stupid charm to you. And so what you need to do is you need to examine how girls are actually responding to you. So the sign that you're boring is if they kind of are constantly having to create conversation once they're attracted and then they just lose it. It's like they were putting effort in, but then they just stop trying because you're not really trying that hard. And also it's not really difficult to recognize that you're not saying things, okay? You're probably not talking enough. If you find that you're talking a lot and girls are slowly losing interest, it's because something you're saying is fucking stupid. And you gotta like sit there and think, okay, what is it that I'm consistently saying, or the way I'm saying it? How might a third person, let's not be biased because we always think we're doing something right, how might they see the way that I'm coming off? What possibly could be the reason why someone's losing interest in what I'm saying? So you figure that out just in those first few minutes that you're talking to a girl, and you at least stop it there, right? It's gonna be hard to stop it on a date where you're really showing your personality for an hour and a half, but you can at least not hide, maybe suppress a little bit whatever fucked upness you have for at least a few minutes, just enough for her to get interested. There's a sign that you're doing something right if when you ask a girl out, well, you also might be failing to ask girls out. This is actually a stupid problem a lot of guys have. If you're not getting your girl's number, it's because you're not asking her out. If you're hoping that some girls are just gonna like offer their number or ask you out, like I said, tough fucking luck. You need to do it, okay? I'm not gonna get into it. Just fucking ask her out. When in doubt, ask her out. There's really no reason not to ask a girl out. Always ask a girl out if you like her. If you're getting rejected, it's because she either wasn't attracted in the first place or you lost her somewhere along the way in that couple minutes of conversation. But if she's saying yes and she texts you back, if you send a girl the first text and she doesn't respond, it actually wasn't your texting. It was the interaction that came before it. At any point in this video, if you find a problem, it's the thing that immediately precedes it. That's the issue, okay? So it was some way you acted in the situation. Or the only other alternative is she was kind of caught up in the emotions and she really liked you, but then reality set in once, you know, she walked away and she was like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have been that flirty. I have a boyfriend. Maybe she didn't mention it. Or maybe she's talking to another guy and it's not super serious yet, but it could be very soon. Or, you know, she just has second thoughts about something that you said. Maybe it wasn't really bad, but it was just enough to take her from 51% interested to 49.5% interested. Sometimes the smallest mistakes can have really dramatic consequences. That's just life, my friend. Okay. So if you are getting a text back and she starts responding to you, then that means you did everything up until that you did it right. If she's texting you very interestingly, like, you know, she's actually giving some effort, you know, emojis are a good sign, a lot of energy and emotion. Some girls aren't really emotional with texting, but it's usually a bad sign if they're not giving you a lot of energy. That means you have a texting problem, and you fix that by reading my book. Honestly, I cover pretty much everything you can think of in my texting book. It's in the description below. It's cheap. Just grab it, read it. I promise. It'll fix it. Then if you ask her out and she says no, or it gets all flaky, it probably was a problem with your texting. Because like I said, you were cool up until then. So it was something in your texting, some way you were being too needy or not showing enough interest. That's another problem, which again, you will fix by reading my texting book. Seriously, go read it. It's in the description. Now, if she shows up on the date, again, you did everything up until then right. If you're losing girls on the date, well, dating is the problem, right? Your actual date skills, that's more complicated. Okay, that's really, really complicated because that's, you know, an hour and a half of you showing everything that you got. Okay, so my best advice to you is to check out Chase, the guy who actually owns Girls Chase. It's his product called One Date. I'm involved in the product. I'm the one who interviews him while he's talking, and also I give a lot of my own advice. You can check that out. Just go to girlschase.com. As soon as you enter the website on the landing page, it's the main product that's being advertised. It's like the flagship product of our company. So go pick it up. I'm in it if that helps sell it for you. It's really good. It covers almost anything that you can imagine in dating. So you got to fix your dates. Again, the thing that you're fucking up with can be so many different things. Like, girls could actually really be into you, but you're not pulling. I've had a client like that. I was like, dude, just take her home and fuck her. He's like, well, no, it's not that. I'm like, no, that's it. That's the only thing that you're doing wrong. And then once he actually listened to me, he's like, oh yeah, I just like meet up with girls, really quickly invite them over and have sex with them. And it worked. I was like, oh, wow. Who would have fucking thought I was telling you that for a year and a half? Or you could have the complete opposite problem. You're just fucking boring. You're weird. You're awkward, right? There's so many different problems. But if you're getting girls on dates consistently and then you're losing them, it's your problem with your dates. But at least you know the issue. So you don't have to work on all of these different things. You can focus all of your attention on how do I be a better person on a date? And what specifically is it? Am I not showing enough interest? Am I showing too much interest? Am I acting too cool for school, or am I just leaning in like way too passionate? Am I taking it too slow with girls, or am I taking it too fast? For the most part, you're probably taking it too slow. I would advise across the board, most guys need to move faster and just try to get more intimate with girls faster. Like invite her home on the first date, try it, or at least the second date or the third date. Don't do this thing where you wait weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months because you think you have to move slow with girls. I mean, that's just patently not true, okay? You might think, oh, only sluts have sex with you fast. No, you're a fucking idiot. You know nothing about women. I know that's very harsh, but I promise you. Every woman, from the most conservative to the most liberal, not in the political sense, is open to moving quickly into intimacy if she has a strong enough connection with you. But of course, it's so varied, right? But across the board, I would say that most guys take it too slow. They're not assertive enough and just go for it, right? So that probably is your problem, but you could have the problem that you are too horny and you're too passionate, right? That is an issue. So like I said, you need to look at your dates and figure out exactly what's going on. But at least you know now that it's your dates and nothing else. Now, if you can get girls home, you know, you got the whole process and they even hook up with you after, you know, the first date or second date or whatever, but then you're losing girls after that. The main problem is they either don't see something long-term with you, or you're kind of too much of a player and they assumed it was a one-night stand or a casual thing. Very rarely is it that you didn't fuck her very good. I mean, that is a cause sometimes, but a lot of times, you know, girls can be very forgiving of a bad first time. It's usually either she doesn't see something long-term with you, like you were hot and she wanted to suck some dick, but that was it, or she possibly wants something long-term, but she could see that you're a bit of a player or thought you were a bit of a player. She might not be wrong. I've had that happen before. I've seen guys who weren't players, but girls thought they were. And she just kind of thought, okay, that was fun, but you know, I'm going to move on. Or maybe she had a boyfriend and she didn't know about it. Or like I said, has another guy who she is going to get serious with and you were just a fun fling before that happens. But if that's the case, then you need to look at how you are coming off as a long-term option. And you need to start injecting a little bit more if that's what you want. If you're cool with girls leaving after that, then you don't need to fix it, right? But this is assuming you do want to continue seeing girls. So you need to start looking at yourself as a long-term prospect and worry less about being sexy and cool because you got that down, you're getting laid. But you need to look at, okay, am I actually a person that a girl wants to spend more time with outside of the bedroom? Because if that's not true, then that's what you need to work on. And then if you're having relationship issues, then that's, you know, that's a whole nother game, right? There's pickup and seduction, and then there's relationships. And they share some commonalities, but in other ways, they're totally different, okay? But if you're having problem once you get into relationships, and most guys who are really good with girls, like seducing them, suck at the relationships. And a lot of guys who are really good at actually having stable, healthy relationships suck at seduction, okay? So usually what you're good at, the other thing you fucking suck at. But a good lover of women, a good dater is good at both. But the thing that makes someone good at like hooking up with a lot of girls really quickly is exactly what's going to make him a really bad boyfriend or husband. And a thing that is going to make you the attributes or personality traits that make you a good husband and a good father and all that usually don't always correlate with being the sexiest, coolest guy who can fuck girls really fast and fuck a lot of girls. But you can be the best of both worlds if that's what you're interested in. But if you're not interested with hooking up a lot of girls, then fine. You just need to do this process enough times till you find the girl who is going to be the mother of your children and your wife and live happily ever after. So at what point in this video did you go, that's me? And if you really don't fucking know, because you just don't, well, you can sign up for coaching. I can point out very, very quickly, hey, this is where you're fucking up and this is what you need to do. And I can personalize the advice to you based on all of my experience with my own dating life and tons of other guys that I have taught. You can go in the description below and sign up for a free 10-minute consultation where we see, you know, if this works between us and what I think you need to work on. And of course, if it works out for you financially. So go in the description below and sign up for that free call for 10 minutes. It should say something like book a one-on-one call with me. It should be the first link in the description. And we'll talk and we'll see if I can help you out, which I probably can. So get to it. Go click it. Awesome. So yeah, that's it. Simple video. Where are you fucking up? Focus exclusively on that for now until you fix it and then move on to the next thing. That's life. That's how you work on any skill. You find your weakness, you hammer it out, then you work on the next weakness. Do on and on and on until you get the results that you're happy with, and then you can forget about this dating shit. But you really can't forget about it completely, because even if you find the love of your life, relationships are work. They're amazing, but they're work. So you always kind of have to stay at it until the day you die. Sounds fun. Okay, so Hector Castillo, GarageChase.com. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, check all the links in the description that I talked about. Enough marketing. I love you. Go fuck yourself. Bye.